Across centuries, farmers faced the same problem, feeding communities with limited labour, no machinery, and unpredictable weather. Yet somehow they managed to harvest more food than many modern small-scale gardeners, and they did it with surprisingly little effort. These weren't shortcuts or magic tricks. They were techniques built on observation, soil science, and ecological principles long before science formalized them. Understanding these methods reveals ways to reduce physical labor while maximizing yield, turning your garden into a highly productive system that works with nature rather than against it. Ancient farmers leveraged natural processes instead of forcing them. Instead of tilling endlessly or chasing each weed, historical cultivators observed cycles of water, wind, and decomposition. In places like pre-Columbian Mesoamerica and medieval Europe, they built raised beds, sunken gardens, and mulched mounds designed to capture rainfall, conserve moisture, and suppress weeds. By positioning crops where water naturally pooled and using decomposing plant matter as mulch, they created microclimates that nurtured plants while minimizing daily labor. Today, gardeners can replicate this by observing how rainwater moves across their plots, placing beds in low spots and mulching heavily to retain moisture and block weeds. It's a combination of careful observation and strategic placement that reduces effort while increasing output. Soil fertility was managed as a living system rather than a one-time input. Ancient farmers didn't depend on store-bought fertilizers or single applications of manure. They layered organic matter, rotated crops, and incorporated nitrogen-fixing plants to build soil fertility gradually. Cover crops such as clover or vetch were planted not to feed humans immediately, but to enrich the soil while suppressing weeds and preventing erosion. Modern gardeners can adopt the same strategy by alternating nitrogen-rich plants with main crops, allowing soil to recover while building microbial life. This reduces the need for constant manual amendment and creates a soil ecosystem that sustains itself, effectively growing more with less labor. Water management was a labor-saving marvel of ancient ingenuity. Irrigation systems, swales, and carefully dug channels were standard features in historical farms across Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Farmers used gravity, contouring, and simple catchment basins to distribute water efficiently without constant attention. Modern gardeners can mimic this by digging shallow trenches along contour lines to direct rainfall, installing small retention basins, or using thick mulch to retain soil moisture. These techniques keep crops hydrated with minimal daily effort, turning passive rainfall into active growth and reducing the time spent hauling water or hand-watering. Polyculture and companion planting reduce maintenance naturally. Rather than planting monocultures, ancient farmers cultivated diverse plant communities. Corn grew alongside beans and squash in the Three Sisters Gardens of North America, providing structural support, nutrient cycling, and natural pest control. Similarly, medieval European gardens mixed aromatic herbs with vegetables to repel insects. Today, gardeners can apply these principles by designing polyculture beds where plants benefit one another, reducing weeding, pest management, and structural support labor. These intentional plant communities create resilient systems that require far less intervention. Minimal tillage was, an intentional labor and soil strategy. Historical farmers often avoided deep ploughing, recognizing that turning the soil too much destroyed structure and required constant effort. Instead, they worked lightly at the surface, adding compost and organic residues while leaving deeper layers intact. This approach preserves soil organisms, reduces erosion, and decreases physical labour. Modern gardeners can adopt a similar philosophy by using broad forks or shallow cultivation to incorporate amendments, relying on cover crops and mulch to maintain fertility without repeated digging. Over time, the soil becomes richer and easier to work, allowing more production with less energy. Timing and sequencing of tasks amplified results without extra labour. Ancient cultivators timed their planting, harvesting and soil amendments according to the natural cycles of rainfall, temperature and crop maturity. Intercropping fast-growing crops with slower ones ensured a continuous yield, without the need for constant replanting. For modern gardeners, this really means taking the time to observe local climate patterns, staggering your plantings and making good use of succession crops. The result is, a more productive garden, with fewer periods of idle soil and, honestly, a lot less repetitive labour. The larger lesson is that observation, design and ecology really do outperform brute effort. Ancient farmers didn't necessarily have better tools, they had better systems. By working with natural water flow, leveraging microbial life, planting beneficial combinations, and timing activities carefully, they could harvest more food than modern methods would suggest. Applying these principles today allows gardeners to conserve energy, reduce intervention, and increase yields sustainably. Ancient labour-saving techniques are not lost. They're just waiting for modern gardeners to rediscover, honestly. Raised beds, mulching, polyculture, nitrogen-fixing crops, and water-smart design all come together to create a garden that works largely on its own. By adopting these historically proven strategies, gardeners can enjoy more food, less manual effort, and soils that improve season after season. If you want to uncover more forgotten methods that make your garden more productive with less work, subscribe to Hydrohaven, share this video with friends who love history and sustainable gardening, and join us in reviving centuries-old techniques for modern, resilient gardens.